Welcome back to the Traders Network. I'm Michael Yorba, your host. Thanks for joining us. We're also streaming to you live on yorbamedia.com. My guest this segment, Nick Santiago, President and CEO of In the Money Stocks. Nick, thanks for coming back on the show. How are you?
Hey, Michael. Great. Thank you very much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. And I want to thank you for referring briefing.com to us. We're going to put them on the show. Appreciate that.
Excellent.
All right. The U.S. dollar is on a tear. We've been talking about it for a while, thinking that if things deteriorate in Europe, we're going to see a lot of money come into and find a home in the U.S. dollar. Well, let's talk about that first topic, the FXE that you wanted to talk about today.
Yeah, what I wanted to say about the FXE is now we've reached downside targets on this thing. So it is short-term over. I know there are a lot of problems in this thing could be due for a short-term bounce. To be honest, I'm not looking even to trade this thing. I think after you get any short-term bounce, you could sell this thing. So the euro currency or the FXE is another way to play the euro. Ultimately, I think it can be sold. We are oversold at the moment. I do think it's going to go lower. As we talked about on your show before, my weekly chart projections bring us all the way down to $1.17 on the euro. So, I mean, this thing has a long way to go, but we are short-term oversold at the moment. So I think before traders try to jump on the short side here, it's not the prudent thing to do. Wait for a bounce. You get any bounce for maybe a week or so, sell it.
Okay, I got it. Let's wait to see where it bounces from before we get a target on you for resistance. All right, and the next market you want to talk about?
Well, one of the other markets that I was looking to talk about today was basically the TLT. And the TLT looks like it's starting to set up again. It went up to the 124 level. Let this thing base throughout the holidays, Memorial Day holidays, and after the holidays start looking for a pattern. This thing looks like it's ready to break out to around the I'm going to be honest, maybe around the 130 level. This thing is really getting poised here. So just the longer it could base and bake in the oven, so to speak, the higher the bread could rise. So right now, TLT looks like it's setting up. That's something I'll be watching in about a week or so to put out a trade alert on. Okay,
let me bring that into the other side on the futures trader side. So we said about 130 on the TLT, right?
About that. It could even be higher, to be honest.
Okay, I ran some rough numbers about a week ago on an extension, a Fibonacci extension for the bond market.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And it came out to be about 166. I was having a little trouble swallowing that, but that's got to be pretty close to the neighborhood when you're talking about 130 on the TLT. Am I close?
Well, 166 will probably put the TLT a little bit higher, but in the same vicinity. So, wow. Yeah, I think that I think ultimately I would not be surprised to see the TLT even go higher than 130. I wouldn't rule it out to 135. And I honestly believe 166 is very, 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 very possible.
Wow, that's something big is happening when the bonds move like that.
Absolutely.
Okay, what is it?
Well, it's a European European disaster, right?
Yep.
Greece is going to leave, and then Spain comes into view, and Spain and Italy are the two big. They trump Greece, so you have to realize that those two countries are going to come into focus. And don't be surprised if we hear about France as well, because France is not in great shape either. Okay,
so that portends a parabolic move here in these financials.
Absolutely.
Oh, my God. Oh, boy. Okay, well, let's move on to Apple.
Okay, Apple, last week, if you remember, I was on your show. The stock was trading down decently, and I said, don't look to sell short Apple now. The move is over. You got to look for a counter trend bounce in Apple now, and that has happened. So we'll give Apple maybe a little bit more upside. I'm thinking maybe the 585 level, maybe a little bit higher. The 50-day is around 590, somewhere in that vicinity. But give Apple another week, and then start looking for that to head lower as well.
Okay, so there's lots of opportunities with this. There's puts, there's writing calls, and then there's just straight up shorting it. So at this point, I'm getting the feeling that the rally that you're talking about is really just a retest of the old highs and a possible failure there.
Well, I don't even think we retest the old highs. I think that we make lower highs on Apple, and then, yeah, it's headed lower. The whole market should be headed lower shortly.
Okay.
Maybe not this week because we have the Memorial Day holiday upon us. That's looming, so rarely do we sell off into holidays. Normally, the markets will have light volume and will hold up, and then next week you have the job number. But either way, the markets are headed lower.
Okay. You got a couple of things in the shout box. Let me bring them out. First, we've had this came in, people waiting for you to show up today. Kudos to Nick for the March 22nd call you made on your show for the QQQs to go to 61, which was hit last Friday. Keep up the good work, Nick. Bravo. Good job. Two, Nick, let's say, thinks given a bond forecast, do you expect a top in the S&P to resume its decline?
Well, I expect the S&P to ultimately trade a lot lower. We're getting a little bit of a bounce now from an oversold condition, but that's all it is. It's just a little bounce. It's a counter trend bounce. It shouldn't last more than a few weeks, and then markets ultimately will head lower.
Okay, and any idea of how low will it go?
I have a lot of ideas how low it will go. We'll have to wait and see. But right now, I mean, the next big break that we get in this market, it should take us down to around, ultimately, ballpark 1,200 on the SPY.
Okay.
On the S&P cash, 1,200.
All right, 1,200. That's good enough. Now, the Bank of America, BAC?
Yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit about Bank of America today because the stock's flirting around this $7 level here. But ultimately, I ran some calculations on BAC, and my near-term projections will bring this thing down on the next leg. And now we're getting a counter-trend bounce, mind you, but next leg down to around $6 and ultimately down maybe even around $5.50.
Okay, got that. All right, let's talk a little bit. Now that we're through with those, let's talk about J.P. Morgan.
Okay.
What are you thinking about that?
Well, JPM right now, it put a little short-term low in, I think, on the 21st. You're getting a counter-trend bounce here for JPM, and then it's headed lower as well. We talked about last week on your show this going down to around the $28, $27 level. I don't see why it wouldn't get there. We're at last line of defense right here. We hit a nice support level around the $32.50 level. It'll uptick maybe for, a week or two, maybe three, and then, I think it'll resume downtrend.
Okay. You've done a lot of really, really good trading on the copper market. Before we go out, I want to get your impression on that.
Oh, copper's headed lower. I mean, copper can't even bounce now, and the markets, have had a little bit of a bid. Look for any upside, 1 week, 2 week uptick in copper to sell. Just it's going down. There's really nothing, and not just copper, but Freeport-McMoRan, Southern Copper Corp, Rio Tinto, BHP, Teck Resources, Cleveland Cliffs. These things are all going down. They're all going lower, and it's just the way those cycles are. Those cycles are down until the end of 2012, and you want to take advantage of that. Okay.
When you say the end of 2012, do you have any cycle date that are in mind? Are we talking like the November, October,
Well, I have some dates, Michael. I have to see where these markets will pivot first just to see if those would be long or shorts. You never know the polarity of the trade at the time. But right now, I'm thinking these markets are headed down into sometime, either October, no time in there.
All right. Well, we don't need to try and pick a date that far out from here. All right, before we go, you run a trading room. We spend so much time talking about the markets, your impression, and, you put stars in everybody's eyes with your accuracy. Let's stop for just a second and go back into what you do for people that show up in your trading room. What happens there?
Well, you come over to our trading room, you get to see our desktops, you get to see everything that we're looking at, the trades that we're going to execute. You can come alongside and day trade with us each and every day. Each day we at least have 2 to 3 swing trades, sometimes 5 to 10 trades a day on a good day. These days volatility is a little bit on the slower side, or I should say volume is on the lower side, as we don't maybe not get as much action from day to day, but you never know what day Christmas is coming. And then you come to our research center, you get all of our nightly videos, you'll get all of our trade setups, you'll get all our learning videos that we put out there for you. You'll find our plays, our large cap plays. I mean, there's just a ton of content that goes into each and every product that we give out there. So, come on over, take a 7-day free trial, see what it's all about, and I think most people will be happily pleased.
Okay, now the one part that you left out, we got about a minute left, and we can cover this before you go. What particular types of markets are you trading? Is it just stocks, or is it something more than that?
No, we've traded stocks. We'll trade commodities. I've even now dipped into Forex. So, there's something for everyone here. There's so many ETFs now, so everybody can really, with a regular stock account, can usually dip in and play almost market, and then that's really nice. So, there's something for everybody here if you're involved in the markets one way or another.
All right, so what's going on is you're trading. People are looking over your shoulder, watching you trade, and then they're trading their own accounts simultaneously.
Exactly.
All right, now that is a really good deal. And with the accuracy you've shown here, it's remarkable. Give us
Just this week alone, Michael, we closed out about 5 winning trades. Some of them were for over 10. Most of them were for over 10% per trade.
Nice, Nick.
But, you got to come in the room, see what it's all about. Take a 7-day free trial to the research center, see what it's all about, and give it a shot.
That's great. All right, phone number or web address or email, how do you want them to reach you?
Yeah, best way to contact us is just contact us at supportedinthemoneystocks.com, or you can just come over to the website, browse through it. There's tons of free content up there each and every day for everybody. Check out our Rant and Rave blog. You fall in love with that. You'll just that'll whet your beak to what we do in our services.
All right, that sounds good. Now, listen, I want to talk to you after the show. I'm going to give you a call as soon as this show's over about somebody I need to introduce you to.
Sounds great, Michael. Thank you very much.
All right, you're welcome. Everybody, Nick Santiago, President and CEO of In the Money Stocks.